Hey guys, so I was originally going to hop on here to talk about how we find proper balance between self and no self. How we balance having an ego with the recognition that the ego is an illusion. And I started recording it a few times and just the words weren't coming. And I realized that the post I probably should be doing is the post about self-protection and about the desire for perfection that is definitely in me, and I suspect it's in a lot of you too. Perfection doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. It's not real. Perfection is an idea in the head, just like the ego is. And when I do these videos, it's funny. As someone who looks back on his life and is more aware than ever before of his own unconsciousness, when I hop on here and I want to share videos with you all, I always catch myself, becoming either self-conscious or unsure of my message, or concerned that what I've said will be misunderstood, or perhaps I notice, I don't know, my teeth look a little funny and there's a little shininess here. It looks like a fake tooth. Shitty stuff like that. Stupid stuff like that. Anyway, I'm human. And I think that is the point of this post, is we need to find a balance point, each of us does, between what my good friend Julie and her friend partner Marco, often talk about, which is balancing our humanness with our consciousness. And I think that's a beautiful articulation of the challenge of living, is when you recognize that the ego is this psychological construct, and you also understand what is true and what lives underneath it all, how you approach some equilibrium is a real challenge. And there is no perfect path to how you figure that out, other than leaning into and understanding your insecurity, understanding your vulnerability, and rather than keeping it to yourself, which continues to give it power, to instead let it go. Whether that means letting it go publicly via sharing it with friends or family or even strangers. To get that stuff outside your head and out into the open it's liberation. It's recognizing that these thoughts actually have no fundamental reality. And you only can recognize that fact once you let them go. So a lot of self-help authors are focused on this idea of or self-limiting beliefs, or just limiting beliefs. And I think that's fair. So to come back to what I was originally going to talk about, which is how we find that balance between self and no self, between the ego, which we all have, and consciousness, which we all are. And I think that we approach that balance through the process of embracing our vulnerability, of embracing the humanness which we've been taught to hide away, that we've been taught to believe is unpresentable and unfit for public consumption. So, as someone who has lived as a lifelong perfectionist and has suffered the consequences of that thinking on more than a few occasions, embrace your imperfection. Understand that there is no perfect human being. Understand that we all get damaged and that we all acquire trauma and insecurity, and that the confusion that this creates is not something that's meant to be encased away and stuck within us. It's meant to be released, it's meant to be opened up, and it's meant to be shared. And it's not just for you. That's the big trick here. It's not just about you getting it off your chest. It's not just about you finally letting go of something. It's about showing other people as well who are holding on to their own pain, their own trauma, their own inner battles, that they can do the same thing, and that the world is not going to fall down. And it's actually just the opposite. What happens is the world opens up. The world embraces your vulnerability. The world says thank you for giving me that piece of yourself that you were hiding away. And then those people give you that piece back. They share something with you. And life becomes richer and more abundant and better. It just becomes better, which is counterintuitive to the mind, but is absolutely true. And you know it's true because you feel it. And feeling is superior to thinking. So there's that. All right, guys. Thanks as always, and I hope everyone has a great day.